Remote work, in most cases, you are not going to be micromanaged or supervised or all those kind of things. So it's you taking responsibility for all that you choose to do.
Yeah.
It's entirely up to you to ensure that you keep fit, to ensure that you eat healthy food, to ensure that you remind yourself of tasks that are pending. And competitive from remote work may, in most cases, actually mean competitive. Competitive locally, I think it's just thrown in there because I don't think most employers are into giving you competitive packages. In my opinion.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Careers with Nelly. I am your host, Nelly Akungu, a career coach and a job search strategist. In today's conversation, we are going to talk about remote work. We are going to share everything you want to know, all the questions you've been asking about remote work, because I have a remote worker in the studio to share with us his experience. Before I share more details about our conversation of the day, I would want him to introduce himself. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Welcome to this podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for accepting to come and share with us your experience.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. So look at the camera and introduce yourself.
Hello viewers, my name is Norbert Onyango and I am a data scientist by profession, and I have been working remotely for well over 6 years, and of course I've also tested working in the office, so I kind of understand the blend of both working remotely and what it means to work on site, and I'm willing today to share the experiences I've had, and I hope that the conversation will be good enough to help you address any question you've had, any concern, and yeah, I think I'm looking forward to this.
Okay, thank you. So just to get us started, I will just ask you to share with us your experience, your journey as a remote worker. How long have you been working remotely, and what made you to make the decision of getting into remote work? I think before we get into the other deeper questions, it will be quite important to understand the background.
All right.
Yeah.
To begin with, I began having engagements on remote working when I was in second year in college. Given the nature of the course I was doing, I got interested in data at an early age. So I got mentioned in gigs, and I think that is where it started off. And somehow I think it happens that among the first things that you latch onto when you leave college or the early stages, you most likely always end up having that become your norm.
True.
And so when it began in that manner, when I finished college, it didn't change. It's always been like that. Found it easy, convenient, interesting, enjoyable to work from the comfort of my home or the place I choose, as long as I'm able to do what I'm required to do. And that flexibility, I think it has been something that has been part of my life, and it defines me a lot.
Wow. So for how long have you been working remotely? Maybe how long in terms of number of years?
So I think the early years I'm talking about here is as early as 2016.
Okay.
So 2016 to around 2019, those are years that I spent when I was still in college but was already engaging in remote work. And as soon as I left college, it's always been like that. I think I've only detoured once. I've worked on premise for about 11 months and then went back to remote working.
Okay, you found out that the math was not mathing. Especially having transitioned from remote to on-site job,
There's just some, you notice or feel that shift in energy among many other things. And so depending on how you match it or fail to, you most likely are ever going to go back to remote working.
Wow. Now take us back, especially when now out of college, you've started working remotely. Take us back to the experience in terms of one of the feedback that I get, especially with the job seekers who are looking for remote work, is that the process is quite hectic. The process of first identifying these jobs, applying for them, interviewing for them. Maybe share with us your experience. How many interviews did you have to go through? How many jobs did you have to apply for before you actually got your current remote work?
Okay, so I think I'd also have to be honest here. So as soon as I finished college, I tried on-site jobs at first, and did if I would give a rough estimate, about 10 or so applications. And of the 10, let's say I interviewed for about 2, none of which gave me a job or a job offer. And so I said, okay, so I have something that has worked before, proven and tested. And I'm trying these new waters and it's not working. How about I go back? And so I collect myself and say, let me go back and try this again. So when I go back to looking for remote work, because I already have experience and exposure, I know what to look out for. And my skill set is defined. I wasn't just looking for everything and anything. I was very specific on what I wanted because I would be able to demonstrate that I'm able to do it. And so when I went back to application, I think I did about 3 of the 3. I got invited to 2 interviews, and of the 2, I got offers and had to choose one. And
You got all of them?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, you'll teach us your ways.
Yeah, so the one that I got, I have worked there for a while. It was a Dutch consulting firm.
For how long now?
The first contact I made was in 2021. And I have worked in different capacities. And sometimes even when I have other engagements, I still work there part-time. So there's still that connection. I still work on a project. It's good, but the firm has employees all over. It's based in the Netherlands, but it has employees in Africa. I think it has roots in Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Nigeria. Has workers in Germany and other countries. So it's a typical remote work where you get to work with people from different and diverse backgrounds. And so it offers all you need, and sometimes it may also fail to offer what you need. So depending on what you want and how you look at it. Okay.
Yeah. So let's get to I want something which I think for me will be the most interesting part of this conversation is on the reality of these remote jobs here, because we see them on Instagram looking so glamorous. We know, you people are always telling us you're working by the poolside, you're working while you're on vacations. What is the reality of remote jobs? Are they as glamorous and as flexible as what we see on social media, really?
I think that's interesting. When you mention remote job, for a typical young person, say a Gen Z or the young millennials, you think about coffee shops in Kileleshwa.
That is it.
You think about somebody working by the poolside somewhere. All those fancy and glamorous places and environments. And even if it's inside a building, you see this
very nicely decorated office.
Yes, some place where you would not get tired. You always wish to go there every other day.
Yeah.
But the reality is that could not be anywhere close to that which is a reality. This whole space, we call it the gig economy, where you work with a client who is remote, or you work for an employer with whom you don't have physical touch every day. It's a very complex environment. And while I would say on one end that it may work for anyone, it is not for everyone. Because you would go to a space like, we have Nairobi Garage. It has its workspaces everywhere, Westlands, and different places. And you go there and you find a typical work environment where you have all these good things that you imagine. And on the other side of the spectrum, there are people who work remotely and they're bound to work within their homes because that is the much your employer is willing to offer. And there are those who work in environments that, you've been given a job, your work is to deliver, so where you work is entirely up to you. And so when you paint an image of a remote work and you have Kileleshwa, you have coffee shops, you have Kilimani, you have poolside, you may be in for a rude shock if you go there the first time. So an open mind would be the best to have while you approach it.
What does it actually look like? Is there that flexibility? And the other time I know I have talked to a few remote workers, yourself included, and sometimes when I call you guys in the morning, somebody says, I was working the whole night. But that is not the face we actually see. We don't see somebody who's had to work on a project the entire night. What is really just delve deep into the reality in terms of how does the remote work schedule looks like? How do they look like? Different organizations, different regions. How does it really look like in real life?
Okay. So probably I may paint a picture that is a bit aligned towards more technical side for a software developer, data scientist, or such kind of things. It may be different for others, but I think there's a lot of similarity. So one of the things that you have to battle with is that you would sometimes get a client that is on a different time zone. And so unless you're willing to align, you do not get the job. If you get the job, you have to align. And even with this, there's two types. There's those who you have deliverables and you have a timeline, so your work is to ensure that you deliver.
Yeah.
And there are those who you have to work within that particular time frame because that is when they are active. That is one. The other side is that when we talk about flexibility, is it offered? Is it there? Yes, there it is. And there's that blur that comes in because at some point, if you have, like I said, somebody who just gives you deliverables and you tell we need this particular feature in this our app within this time and you do it, if you're supposed to do it within 5 days and you finish in 2 days, you have it delivered, it has been checked, it has been validated, your work is good. So you have 3 days of just doing your own things.
Your own things,
So then you are not bound by a lot of calls and meetings. On the other end, you are supposed to be at on this particular part of this project at this particular time, and it's a very complex world because sometimes there are things that you'd be called from nowhere. We need a fix. We need this consult and this. Whether you had worked the last 36 hours straight or not, if it has to be fixed and you are the one to fix it,
you'll have to fix it.
You have to fix it.
Even if it's in the middle of the night, you're waking up, you're sleeping. Of course, you've talked about different time zones.
Yeah. Sometimes it might not actually even be in the middle of your sleep because sleep is something you can sacrifice.
Yeah.
You might have taken some time off to do your own thing. Say you're on vacation or you are out studying for an exam or something, and then this comes up. And because you're the one who has been tasked with that, there's no two ways about it. You do it because if you don't do it, there's always going to be somewhere out there who's looking for the same job, has the same skill set, is willing to do it, willing to make all those compromises, some of which you may not be. So there's two sides. There's the side that offers flexibility. There's the side that offers all the good things, as long as things are rolling the way they are required. But there's the other side that is most often not talked about. You have to accept that certain aspects of your life are going to change. Your social interactions with people. Some people might actually even think you're a dubious person because you seem to be having money, but you don't seem to be doing anything
with the money.
Because we know that people work during the day, but you are never working during the day. At night, when people are at rest, it's when you're working, so nobody knows. It's some realities that you need to accept, and you find ways of dealing with them.
Wow, interesting. You mentioned something at the beginning of this conversation that the truth is remote work may not be for everyone. So maybe tell us more about that. And when you say remote work may not be for everyone, what are some of the things that I am looking to work remotely? How should I prepare myself in terms of skills, in terms of what is required? If you say it's not for everyone, then who is it for? And how do I need to prepare to get remote jobs or to fit in that space?
All right. I think I have the benefit of having enjoyed working in both environments, like I mentioned, both as a remote worker and in a typical office. So I go there Monday to Friday, 9 to 4, every week in, week out.
Yeah.
When I say remote work is not for everyone, it is as true as it sounds. There are people who are, let me say, they're self-motivated. They are accountable to their actions, and they know how they control the rhythms of their life. So when the energy is low, they know how they recharge. They know when things are not okay, and they can actually do something about it. Remote work, in most cases, you are not going to be micromanaged or supervised or all those kind of things. So it's you taking responsibility for all that you choose to do. It's entirely up to you to ensure that you keep fit, to ensure that you eat healthy food, to ensure that you remind yourself of tasks that are pending and what you need to do, and all those kind of things. So you may be working in an environment where there's communication, but not every other day is meeting. Probably meeting once a week or once 2 weeks, and things are rolling. So if you're this kind of a person who needs constant reminders, who needs to be in a social space where when the energy is low, you need somebody to cling on to, somebody who will motivate you
to give you the vibe to continue.
You need that vibe, and you need a reassurance that okay, sometimes it happens this way, but it's for everyone, not you alone. If you're that kind of a person, remote work will be a tall order, because sometimes there's always a risk for a mental breakdown if you need reassurance from your colleagues. Because, with remote work, there's very little social interaction.
Yeah.
And that social interaction in the hallway, during lunch breaks, when we go to what in Kenya we call chums, that's where we actually get to boost our energy.
Yeah.
Without that, if you are somebody who heavily relies on that, I don't think you're ever going to make it there. Because it's that tough on one end.
And on the social part, the social life part, because you've mentioned that, when people are supposed to be sleeping, you're up working. When people are at work, you're definitely sleeping. So how has it been for you, and how do you feel? Has it made you lose your social life, the social part? And we're talking about flexibility, we are talking about a glamorous life, but how does it feel sometimes working in an environment that may not be as structured as a typical working arrangement in a physical office?
Okay. I don't know whether this compares to working in a typical office, but working remotely, there's a chance that your office setup, whether it's in a rented space or you have custom made an office in your house, it gets monotonous at some point. And with monotony, there's limitation in creativity.
Yeah.
And when there's a limitation in creativity, it means it's going to negatively impact your productivity. And when that happens, there's a chance that, it has to raise eyebrows with your clients or your employer, the person you're working with. Socially, it's a reality you have to accept. If you do not find ways of keeping yourself out and engaging friends who have the same energy as you do, then you're going to be alienated. And when you get socially alienated, even when you have a problem, you would not find it easy sharing it out because you are operating.
Has that happened to you? Has it made you be a loner or an introverted person? Because you rarely interact with people.
Most people who thrive well in remote working are introverted people, but I'm the exact opposite. I have a lot of energy, and I talk a lot. I share a lot. I do not have many friends, but the few I have, they can almost always tell you what's going on in my life at some particular point in time, and when you confirm with me, it's going to be true. So you need to find a way of letting out that energy, so that you do not get caught in what boredom leads into anxiety, then anxiety leads into something, whether it's depression or what, those things are happening. And so you see, most people who work remotely, and I think I've also suffered a bit, you tend at some point to gain a lot of weight. It comes with, those are always symptoms of the negative side of remote working, because you get yourself stuck in one space. If you go out there and work out, you release that energy and your spirit is buoyant. You can continue working again, so you do not have to break down mentally. Because when you go out, you meet people, get new experiences. You realize that, okay, so I'm not the only one who's getting this challenge. Because remote working, while it offers comparatively better packages in terms of compensation as compared to most office work, at some point where you realize that there's the diminishing returns of that money. You need more than that for your life to be complete. So you have all the money. Okay, money without friends, money without family, money without health, money without all the things that would make your life complete, eventually negates the whole point of looking for the money.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So maybe I want to, of course, dwell more in terms of just us having to debunk these myths, because I also think from where I sit, I'm in HR, and from where I see there's a lot of mass movement, I would say. Everyone is looking for a remote job, but I think we've been able to touch on the bit of how these remote works are portrayed. They look so glamorous. Yani, you people who are working remotely, you're making us feel like we've not made it in life, Yeah, but again, you're really bringing in an important aspect of, again, how do you balance the social life and all that. So I want us to go deeper and go in terms of career growth. Have you ever felt stuck because you're working remotely? Because I tend to think that if you're working in a structured office, there are structures for promotions. People will be moving very fast. And here you're working remotely with people from different countries. There is competition when it comes to attention, Have you ever felt left behind? Like umeifika place umesema, if I was working in a structured company on site, maybe ningesha panda in ranks and all that. Has it ever happened to you?
Yeah, have I had the thoughts? Yes. It's a reality. Working remotely, let's say you're working for this particular client as a data scientist, and your work is defined. You do models, you do the deployments. In most cases, that is what you're going to do. It's routine. So unlike a typical office where from this time to this time, based on your performance and the evaluations, you might actually shift offices and go into management or something else. Remote working isn't that much. It is specifically about your skill, whatever you're doing, whether it is video editing, whether it is technical writing, software, all those kind of things. And so there's sometimes you might have that thought. So how have I gone about it? As early as I think 2021, I have engaged myself in constant learning. So while I may not have shifted positions in typical work environments, because if I work with a different client, I ensure that I grow in terms of my skill set and knowledge. And with the new or the additional skill that I have, when I look for something else to do, it attracts better compensation. It exposes me to, again, another different pool of experts. So through the interaction with experts, that is where I again get another layer of growth, because I get to have my problems being resolved in a way that ordinarily would not have happened with the previous cadre of people I had. I also get to get new set of challenges. And so when I'm able to apply the new skill to resolve it, it gives me a sense of growth and development. Yeah, but even with that, there's still limitations when you compare with the typical work environment. Because as human beings, we live and we love being appreciated in the environment that we work. So remote work, there's little of that. Because other than your employer or your client, nobody else knows. And if somebody buys a good car, it only feels good if other people appreciate it as good. If you have a GLE and nobody cares, that social sense of prestige doesn't exist. The same also applies with remote working. So if you go as a remote worker, the certain mentality that obviously you'd have to cleanse yourself from. Social entitlement, are things you do not have to worry about. Probably should come secondary in your line of priorities. If you focus on, say, building yourself, say, I want to spend the next 5 years doing this, and then whatever I get, I want to use it to do this particular thing, that kind of thinking or mentality would work best, as opposed to, I want them to know that, I've gotten from this to this, because that is neither here nor there.
So, and even in terms of competition, because you work with companies that has presence across countries, they have talents, they have access to talents across the world. So in terms of competition, you're working with people who could be much smarter than you. Not that maybe you're not smart, but because in terms of the technology that they're exposed to, that is the reality. And how do you, even if you're working in a company setup, maybe you're not just serving a client, how do you attract the attention of your manager who is managing someone from the US, someone from Kenya, Uganda, everywhere across the world?
I think being socially aware, or just being aware of your typical work environment and your employer plays a big part in informing how you increase your visibility and your effort being appreciated. In most cases, you have your work predefined. But when you go above and beyond, use better tools, your turnaround time is actually way better than most people. It has a way of always making you the go-to person when something needs to be resolved. Not merely because they want to pass by you, because you make it work faster, but because you have demonstrated that, this, I can do this, person X can also do this, but I have this additional layer. My approach probably makes it more interesting. My results has this additional a spice in it. So it's true. I have been in an environment where sometimes the good thing with the remote work also, sometimes you do not have to obey structures. If the person who is supervising your work is a bit slow in terms of escalating the things you do, and you know very well you're doing things rightly, you do not have to make it very strong, but you do this new thing and you share. What do you share with someone else, probably at a high level? What do you think? I've been working on this, and when you do that, you increase visibility in a way that breaks that bureaucracy. And so it puts you in a different landscape. So with the different landscape, the good thing is we work with a good employer, and something else comes up, they're always going to mention your name somewhere.
Wow.
If it is not them, because probably they lack capacity.
Yeah.
If you work with an employer and there's something additional that you have as a person, it's very easy for them to engage you. And when they engage you again and again, it also increases your credibility because you do not have to feel like a small fish in a big pond. That syndrome, it's very bad. It has a way of increasing anxiety amongst remote workers and workers in general.
Oh, wow. And maybe just to take you back a bit in terms of the process of getting remote works. Yeah, I think one thing I've had is about especially the interviews. How hard was it for you? How many interviews did you have to go through? You know, how many interviews? How many layers of interviews? What is the type of assessment? What is the type of of course, just the assessment, the initial process, screening, and all that for remote jobs?
Compared to how I landed the on-premise job, getting remote jobs is a little more rigorous. There's nowhere to hide. There's a very high level stress on both your skill set and your set of personality, depending on what the company wants. Because in most of them, cultural fit is something also very big for them.
Yeah.
The interviews are rigorous. Could be between 2 to 5 steps. The original, the first step, this is where a pool of talents are all exposed at once.
Yeah.
People with the best resumes who having gone to schools that you might consider being better than your own, they've learned from industry experts, all of them in one pool. So when you pass that and that original screening and you get shortlisted, that's always like 50%. So thereafter, the next, like say 40% is now what your technical skills, depending on your line of work. And when we come to your whatever you're willing to offer, I think for most employers, it has to be top notch because you're given an assessment and you're evaluated based on whatever you have done. You might cheat your way out by having somebody help because some people are not very stern on the environment in which you take it.
Yeah.
But even after that, you still you're engaged now on a problem-solving environment, which is supposed to validate the work that you did.
You did, yeah.
So if you cannot demonstrate that you're the one who did that, you get you fall off the process.
Yeah.
So it's rigorous and thorough. I would consider saying that. But the good thing is, if you're good enough, and you're firm and you have that conviction, just go through it one step at a time, preparing well, and you learn the job.
Okay. So at some point, have you ever missed the office setup? Have you ever gotten to the point where you're like, no, today I wish I would have just been working around colleagues? Have you ever felt lonely and missed the drama, the going out for lunch to go and eat together with colleagues and all that?
Yeah.
You have.
If you have been on this side, you'll miss it. You know, there's that vibing that happens in an office that makes your life more interesting.
Yeah.
While it may not be the best in a typical office environment, it plays a good part in shaping who you become. Yeah. So if you work remotely and you have never tested, probably you may not have something to miss. But if you have, Fridays will be very long and boring. And some afternoons you won't have the incentive to work. Because sometimes, I think I have, I don't know, I won't say humor or something, but I've always been in an office, the person who
makes everyone laugh, crack jokes.
And I am known for that. So it may not be the same for remote work because cultural difference in all these differences, your jokes may not appeal to the next person.
Yeah.
Your perception of a particular thing may not be the same to the next person. So it's limiting in nature. In fact, at some point, we went into a meeting once that brought all of us together, and I was surprised. You mean there's all these people in this company? Because I had never imagined that all of them
you were alone.
Yes. The few people I knew are the ones I thought they were there. So that means there's a very high sense of alienation even with remote work, which is a reality. It has nothing to do with you. It's just a reality.
Yeah.
So if you accept it's a reality, you just find a way of keeping your life as it is. But if you have ever worked in an office, and especially if it was a relaxed office environment, no so much politics and the likes, and then you go back to remote working. Sometimes there are those struggles.
Yeah.
There are those struggles, and you probably may have to find ways of managing and adjusting to that. Sometimes I've actually felt like just going out and visiting a random office and just sitting there. Not my office, just somewhere. Maybe a friend works there.
Just to be in an office setup.
Yes, just sit down and see how.
Are there times you get out of the house, you go and work like in those? Oh, you do?
Yeah, countless times.
In those co-shared spaces?
Yes, I've done that. While it may have a cost attached to it, but mentally, it's rewarding because you stay in one environment, and when boredom kicks in, you cannot reverse it. You can only mitigate by probably going out and ensuring that you break it off and shake it off, and
Good. Now, tell us about the pay and remuneration for remote jobs, because that is one part that makes all of us want to work remotely, you know. So is it true that today you can transition into remote work and you get like you're paid like 3 times? How, maybe talk to us about your own transition. You may not need to mention the amounts, but talk to us about that transition and how it, in terms of pay, how different was it, and how did you adjust now to live the new life of working from home fully?
Most employers, especially those from the US and some specific European countries, they are very conscious about talent and skill set. And so your compensation package is a function of this. They incorporate your level of expertise, they incorporate your education, your years of experience. That is really taken into consideration while defining your compensation package. They're aware that you could be a family person and you need health insurance cover. They're aware that the kind of work you do, you need some time off for vacation. So all these are taken care of. And they're also, a good number of them are very aware that anytime you do hours in excess of what you're supposed to do, that is eating into your leisure, and that has a monetary value. And so that is also considered most. But there's certain employers who, of course, are also out there to exploit talent. So you just need to be wary and conscious about them. So the comparison I have made with working locally is that locally, sometimes you do not actually know what is considered in defining what you earn, because you could be in a work environment where there's someone else with whom you're doing the same thing, same skill set, same level of experience, and they're getting much more than what you're getting if you work in spaces where people talk about them. I'm actually always open talking about these things.
Does that also happen in remote work? Do you have people you're doing the same work and you're paid differently, maybe because of the geographical location? They're in the US, you're here in Kenya.
Yeah, that plays a part. Geography plays a very big part because they consider other issues like
cost of living,
inflation, among many things. But comparatively, if, say, you are a software developer or a data scientist and you would land a job in Kenya, and then you get a remote client for whom you're going to do the same job, you're most likely going to get between 2 to 3 times what the local employer is going to offer. In most cases, I think this is something that is backed by statistics, and I need to obviously mention it. But also, something you need to also know is that there's also something that you cannot do anything about it. You could be doing the same job, and because of a racial difference, you work in an American firm, and there's an American who is also part of your team doing the exact same thing you're doing. Your pay is not going to be the same. But as long as that is not your problem, and you have what you've considered to be fair in terms of compensation, I think it works well for you. And the other additional layer is that competitive from remote work may, in most cases, actually mean competitive. Competitive locally, I think it's just thrown in there, because I don't think most employers are into giving you competitive packages. In my opinion.
So you think we could just be calling it competitive because maybe you're hired by a global company, but really whatever they are paying you is just aligned to the pay in the local country. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. You know, so where you are, whichever country, out of that, the companies, the parent company's country, you look at this package as competitive, comparing with your local industry and all that.
Yeah,
I agree as well.
Some employers, surprisingly enough, let's say you get a job. I don't know what's the median income. Let's say median income in Kenya could be about 80,000 shillings a month. Some employers they would want to know what a local employer
would pay for that
job, while other employers they do not actually look at it from a local point of view. They have your skill, they have your talent, they have your time. They use it based on their internal policies on compensation and remuneration. And I think that is what, in most cases, makes remote jobs to be more interesting. I just would want to say that probably most of the local firms around would still be evolving. They will get there. The other ones out there probably have evolved. They have better portfolios. So compensating an employee is not one of the most difficult things. As long as you bring in the money, you do the job, and things are as they expect. Yeah, works.
Well, good, thank you. It's an interesting conversation, but of course, before we end it, I would just like for you to talk to us about how you give us a scenario first of how you've gotten yourself in cultural differences. You talked about the cultural differences, of course. We are having so many aspects of it, language barrier, you know, in terms of what are their cultural norms and all that. How have you been able to handle that? And have you ever felt discriminated because of the differences in your background?
Discriminated, not yet. Cultural issues, yeah, there are. And if I would paint a picture of, I'm assuming somebody looks at it like I do, depends on whether you are a liberal-minded person or a conservative person. If you're liberal-minded, most of the firms I have worked with, there's a good degree of liberal-mindedness. And so there's certain things that would come up and, you know, if you're not used to them, you're shocked because it's a normal thing for them. And certain firms, people are so open in the spaces that you know, there are employers who can engage you on even trivial personal things that you would otherwise not be able to have a sit down with an employer elsewhere. And if you're this person who is not used to that, it's a bit awkward. Sometimes you go into, once in a while you have those sessions where you meet together. And you know, it's very difficult for you to actually be able to express yourself. Where somebody, you know, has all this energy and all that kind of thing. And so if you're nerdy and you're introverted, if you get somebody who is like you, okay, your energies will match. But you go into such kind of spaces where, now that is on one side. The other side also, if you're this liberal, open-minded person who, you know, there's jokes here and there, you can throw banter, but you work in an environment where, you know,
people are too serious.
The environment is always serious, and you know, there's pin drop silence in meetings and all those kind of things. You'd also struggle because you have this energy, but you don't know where to put it. So every time you try, you feel like it's being shut down. And you know, you only reduced to input and your output. Input and output. And when it continues like that, such kind of cultural issues, most cases would have a negative impact on you as a person, even with all the money that you would be getting there. So cultural issues are a reality. And I think somebody needs to do a proper background check of the firm they are interviewing with. Because, you know, when most of us in Africa and probably Kenya, we have grown up in societies where we do not know what affluence is. We don't have so much money, and we don't have the luxury of enjoying everything. And so we're in survival mode. I need the next job to keep me going. So do I need to consider this cultural issue? No, that's secondary. It's not important. I need
that's
the money.
Not important.
Because my mom is at home. You have a sibling who's going through high school, another in college. You have your things, you need your life to align. Probably you've begun a family. All you need is money. So you approach life with that kind of a mentality, not knowing that there are other facets that they may not be very important to you, but overall, they're going to be a part of your life, and they may impact you. And when they impact your life in a way, even the money that you thought was, the bag that you're chasing, you thought, this firm that you're working with. If tomorrow in most of these firms, sometimes you may not have an elaborate medical cover scheme. You're given your money, you're told, okay, we're giving you a competitive package, so ensure you get yourself a health insurance cover and many of these things. So you work in a firm where tomorrow if you lose a parent, will somebody actually stand for and with you?
And say, this is my colleague.
Yeah. Because some of them, all that matters is we are paying you to do your work.
Yeah.
All the other personal things are your things. So if you know that is how the firm is, and it's important, very imperative for somebody to always go check reviews. Almost all these firms that hire internationally, you're always going to get a review.
Look at them and tell them that, because I know that is something that is quite important.
Yeah. So, dear viewer, I obviously would say this, that that next firm that you're looking forward to working with, beyond money, because you're going to want to know what is the range I should quote when I'm interviewing with them. What is it that is being talked about of them out there? Go to Glassdoor and any other platform, check. You're going to get reviews there, and most of them are always true. That should guide you into knowing the kind of firm you want. If you just want a space to work and get money, and that is what you find, well, go in. If you need a space where people are going to be part of your family, you need to be very particular about that, because most of them may not offer that. And if they don't offer that and you need that, you only may be there for a short time, and you may feel that is not the environment you want, and eventually may not work for you.
Wow, yeah, I think that's really key, because most people are running to remote work because of the money. Because we are being told people who are working remotely are earning, I don't know how much as you when you have more skills. So it is really, really key to know which type of company are you getting yourself into. And we're almost coming to the end. Just before I give you to summarize, I would like to understand how your typical day look like, and how many jobs do you do at one particular time? Because we've also been told that if you're working remotely, you can even do, 4 jobs at a go. Give us the reality. How practical is it to work for more than 2 employers or clients at a go?
This one is not specifically cast on stone. Different things would work for different people, and everybody knows themselves. So in most cases, most of the people I know who work remotely do not do more than 2 jobs at a go. Especially if you work with a client that is based in, they use the Eastern Standard Time. There's between 7 to 8 hours behind. So most of their work is done probably towards our evening. And if you're doing, say, a shift of about 5 hours a day, maximum of, say, 20, 25 hours a week, you have a long time during the day here. You could take in another job that probably would take 4 hours, maximum 5, or probably even less. That will be 2. So in between here, you have time to rest and also to align your life and put your things in order. There are other people who are overly ambitious. Most young people are overly ambitious. We want a lot of money within a short time because of social pressure. And so you have taken this job and you have taken 2 more, and you also have another client with whom you're working with. So you run the risk of compromising on the quality of your work, one. You also run the risk of health deterioration, because while we underestimate it, I think sleep is very important for a remote worker.
It is.
Sleep is very important. After having a good sleep, it brings about some good degree of clarity. And if you had things, it also helps to detox your mind. I'm not a health professional, but I think from experience, that's something I have seen. So the reality is, remote working can provide you a landscape to do more than 1 job. It's very possible. And you could be doing 2 jobs, both of which are actually paying you well. And you may need that, because we live in very difficult times. And if you have that additional disposable income, it makes life a little more interesting for you. And some people would say, okay, let me take 2 jobs. Let me do it for the next, say, 3 years, and then I can drop this off. I would have money to probably run a business. So doing 2 or more jobs is akin to working full-time in a typical office in Kenya and having a business to run. This business needs you, but you may not be there. So you'd have to employ somebody to run it for you. But it's still your job. It's your hustle. Why it's possible you'd be there. But there's, like I mentioned, challenges to it. So you need to know yourself well. There are people who are fragile. And any slight compromise in their health brings about many other things. So you need to know yourself very well. If you also live in a supportive environment, people who in supportive homes, you have a supportive spouse, they would ensure that your life is also good. So you shift from this to that, you have a lot of help in between that works. If you're all alone, it can be overly tasking. And funny thing about money is that money has to be eaten eventually. It may not have to be you tomorrow. So if you look for so much money at the expense of other things and then you die, somebody else will still eat it. But that's a constant. So somebody needs to know, where do I draw the line? Money is good, but you know...
Will I sell my whole life at the expense of that money? You know.
And if money, I honestly think money puts you away from family. It's something you need to check on and rethink it. If money puts you away from things that actually make your life complete, you need to be very discreet and check about that. But when I give a final answer to your question, 2/3 of people who work remotely do more than one job.
So it's possible.
It is.
Wow. All right. Thank you. So as we come to the close of this conversation, just look at the camera and give your final advice to the people who are looking for remote jobs and somebody who's really wanted to work remotely. Tell them the do's and don'ts. And because in this conversation, we are debunking the myths and actually just sharing the realities of how remote work looks like.
All right. So thank you again. So dear viewer, remote work is a reality, and in the current century we live in, I think most people would appreciate that. So when you want to transition, say from a typical office work, you're beginning your career and you want to go into remote working, these are among the things that you should consider. One, in terms of your skill set, do not oversell yourself. Most of the employers out there or the clients, they're actually into problem solving. So you do not call yourself a full stack software developer when all you know is HTML and CSS for front end. You do not call yourself a digital marketer when all you have done is probably, do promotions here and there. Be very clever, very wise, and very discreet about your skills. And can you find the jobs? Yes. Do you have to pay websites to get them? Most times, no. Just do your thorough research. There are firms that are hiring without you having to pay a coin. And just keep at it. Be always on the lookout. And then when you get your job, do not have this mentality that most of us have, that all I need is the money. Give somebody a value proposition. And with that value proposition, they give you money in return. And most employers, even if their project would run out and they value the service you give them, there's always going to be a possibility that they will mention you somewhere, or tomorrow something comes up, they will reconsider you. And most importantly, if you're Kenyan and you are into this remote working space, you are also like a brand ambassador to other Kenyans. So through you, the image of Kenyans is formed. So if you spoil it today and tomorrow another Kenyan wants the work, well, that stereotype kicks in and they won't get it. So I think that's what I would say. And I wish you well in your pursuit of remote working. And when you get it, give it your best, because it changes lives.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been a good conversation. And if you come with us till this end, I know you have learned and you've gotten answers to your questions around flexibility, the reality of this remote work, or are they just meant for the cool kids in Kilimani? He's told us no. Anyone can get them, but actually they're also not for everyone. So thank you once again for watching. Before you log off, kindly remember to subscribe, share this content, and join this community where we're all about learning. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode.